The New Age brainwashing in a nutshell is basically that when you detach, when you open yourself up to the possibilities, you can be anything or anyone you want. You can put your mind onto anything. You can change your perspective, which will change your reality. And the limits are only in your mind. The New Age brainwashing is about convincing you that you have no limits. That you can change your gender, you can change your race, you can become rich just by thinking about it, just by visualizing it. The New Age brainwashing is about self-negation. It's about forgetting who you are, what you are. To be in a purgatory of lost souls, where all that matters is nothingness, possibility. And attaching to your form, attaching to an identity, being something is wrong. That is a brainwashing, which is a form of narcissism. I watched a video this morning where a very popular astrologer talked about the fact that she gets very uncomfortable when she looks at her chart and her chart tells her what she is. So if your natal chart says you are an ascendant in Scorpio, or you are a midheaven in Pisces, the New Age indoctrinated, brainwashed individual feels bad about that. The brainwashed person feels bad about getting clarity and insight about who they are. Because who they are is based on the trauma that they experienced, or who they believe they are at least. Because of course who they are is in the chart. But if you don't believe the chart, it's not because there's something wrong with the chart, but because of your childhood experiences. If your mother and father say that who you are is not who we want you to be, then if the father says be a doctor, be a scientist, be an athlete or whatever, you will say no, I will not. I will stay in the realm of possibility, because you get stuck in the realm of possibility. You get the stuckness is due to the fact that when you try to define who you are, when you try to be who you are, the parent punishes you constantly. So being who you are, being someone, is threatening the attachment with the parent. The parent will move away from you. The parent hates your guts for being who you are. So what choice do you have? You depend on the parent. The parent clothes you, feeds you, gives you a home. You need to not be who you are to survive. But because being in the box that the parent gives you, being that doctor, being that athlete, which you are not, is so painful that you'd rather be in the place in between, the purgatory of lost souls, the Neptunian fog of possibilities. Possibilities is all that we have when we are neither ready to individuate and separate, which is to be ourselves, and which we are also not ready to be what the parent wants us to be. So we are nothing. We are, as Ram Dass says, nobody. And that is really the popular New Age message. And I just told you why it's popular. Because people are brainwashed from the start to be nobody. They are encouraged and told by their parents to be something which they are not. So the only two options is be nobody or be myself. Because being what they want me to be creates way too much tension in the body, too much sickness, so I'm not even gonna go there. Though some people do. Some people are so fucked, they actually do what the parents told them to do, but that's not what this video is about. People who are in the New Age are not people who their parents want them to be. And they're also not people who they want to be. They are people of possibility, of nothingness, being nobody. It's about self-negation. It's about denial of the true self, which is actually the title of a book by Alexander Lowen, which is Narcissism, a book about narcissism. Narcissism, as defined by Alexander Lowen, is a person's inability to create a self. It's an inability to create an identity. Why would that be important? Why do I need to be somebody? Because you are somebody. You are already somebody. You can't become somebody. You are it. But if you believe that you are not it, that's like looking into the mirror and saying, that person is not me. That is not my body. These are not my hands. This is not my hair. These are not my eyes. That is narcissism. To say that what you are is not who you are. Right? Narcissists are experts in selling you a fiction of who they are, which they are not. And you believe them, and when you fall for them, and when you are complaining, oh, why did they manipulate me? They didn't manipulate you. It wasn't about you. They manipulated themselves. They convinced themselves that they are not who they actually are. Because they got so stuck in that be nobody, it got so bad that they created a false self. Most people in the New Age community aren't actually narcissists. They are people who just never created a self-concept, never defined the parameters, who they are, never defined the limitations, their weaknesses, their strengths. They are forever searching for somebody to tell them what to do. What to do. What to do with my life. My life is in shambles, I am suffering or something. I need guidance. I need help. Because I know there's something wrong. There's something wrong with me. What is wrong with me? Tell me. And guess what? Ram Dass will tell you that you need to be nobody. That being somebody is the cause of your suffering. Wait a second. You don't even believe that you are who you say you are, who you actually are. So you are not actually believing that you are someone. So how can that be the cause of suffering? Well, Ram Dass, please explain that. And please explain how being nobody is going to save me when I am somebody. My God, this fucking psychosis. It is psychosis. And what is psychosis? Psychotic illness is a breaking down of reality. It's a dissolution of the self. The self has to be based on reality. But guess what? If you believe you are nobody, you no longer have a self to be based on anything in your mind. It is through your mind that the Buddha says you create the world. You create yourself through your mind. If you are nobody, then what are you going to create? How can you create something if you are nothing? Oh, they tell you everything comes from nothing. It's the realm of possibility. Yes, originally, the source is nothing, correct. But guess what? You are no longer in the realm of nothing. You are in the realm of something. You are in the realm of duality. And guess what? There are rules in this realm. You can't just ignore physics. You can't ignore your limitations. You can't ignore the fact that you are a man or a woman. You can't ignore the fact that you are Greek, like me, or German, or American, which is not a race, but my God. You see how American, it's ironic, isn't it? The country, not even a country, not even a country, the state, not even a state, it's an amalgamation of states, America. And America is the most patriotic, not even a state, in the world. Okay? The place in the world where the people are the most proud to belong to that state, which is not a state, is the one which doesn't even exist. The race American does not exist, and yet a lot of Americans say America, America, America is so great. But it's not your country. It's not. Your genes do not come from that land. The native Indians are Americans. You, as an American, 90%, Caucasian, white male, is not American. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Those people who have the least amount of cultural identity, the least amount of self, project the biggest and brightest and most grandiose self to compensate for their lack. America has no identity. Okay? Well, how can you have an identity? It's not you. Everything that America creates, it's not the self. It doesn't come from that land. If America was true to their identity, guess what? They would adopt the native Indians, because that's what the country's true identity is based on those who inherit the land. So if you are watching this video, guess what? You are an inheritor of a land. That land is your body. That land is your family, your roots. Your family is your land, your country. That's why they say, my motherland, for Mother Russia. Well, guess what? Your mother is your Mother Russia, your land. Your identity comes from somewhere, is based on something, not nothing. Nothing has decided to become something in order to find out not only what it's like to be something, but to explore it and to go deeper into somethingness. Okay? Somethingness. This is something. And it fucking hurts when I ow! It hurts! Ah! So the pain tells me, upon clapping, that this is something. Okay? The pain tells you that it's real. So if the pain tells you that it's real, guess what? No matter how much you tell yourself that it's not real, it's still going to hurt. You see? It's red. Red rash. Guess what? If you tell yourself, I am nothing, you're still going to have a rash. Reality will still try to hurt you. And it will still hurt inside of you, no matter how much you convince yourself that you are not there to be heard. Not there to be heard. Which, by the way, is funny, because heard also means hearing, right? Heard, ouch, and heard means nobody, the family, acknowledges you. Family has not acknowledged you, so you come into the new cage. New cage, right? From one cage to the next. Into the new cage, from the family cage to this one, to find out, is this really me? Am I really nothing? And guess what? No, you are not nothing. Nothing is a form. Okay? It's a form. Wait a second, how can nothing be a form? Language is tricky. A black hole is also a form of being. Nothingness is a form of being. Even non-being is still a form of being. Like, there is being there. Is non-being more real than being? Is being nobody more real than being somebody? And of course, the new cage brain says, yes, of course. Being nobody is more real. What? So you believe your parents? Because your parents forced you to become nobody. So you take on the trauma and you agree, you approve of it. Well, congratulations, now you are stuck in it. If you are in the New Cage matrix, the Ram Dass be nobody, the Eckhart Tolle, dissolve your ego. Well, guess what? The ego, according to Carl Jung, is a metaphor for the Gestalt, the sense of self. Self is a concept. Is there. There is a self, for fuck's sake. Okay? Of course, the self is not fixed. Not completely. It can change its form, it can shapeshift, it can bend. But there's still things that resemble the core of your being. Oh, now you're telling me nothingness. Fuck off. You are in a form. Guess what? This form, the way I look, do you think is based on nothing? So if we are both based on the same material, if you eat fruit and I eat fruit, if you eat an apple and I eat an apple, will both of our bodies create the same tissues, the same cells? Then why the fuck do I have black hair and you have blonde hair? Who determines what color of hair I have? We are both eating the same apple. We are both cooking with the same ingredients. And yet, my dish, my soup, tastes completely different from your soup. How the fuck do you explain that? If we are both the same nothing, then why the fuck do we eat the same with a completely different result? Well, something's not quite right there, is there? And guess what? My voice, my appearance, do you think it has nothing to do with who I am? Do you think that people who are ugly for no reason? Do you think people who look like creeps, pedophiles, predators, people who are fucking giving me the creeps of doom, are giving me the creeps for no reason whatsoever? And do you think that when I go online on Facebook and I look into somebody's profile picture and they fucking make me twist my stomach because of how creepy they look, and it means absolutely nothing, it tells me nothing about who they are, really? So everything around you doesn't matter. Form doesn't matter. Has no meaning. So the fox is not a fox. You mean to tell me that this is not a trickster? Look, you are an animal, just as this an animal is. You're more advanced, perhaps. Well, some are not so advanced actually. I think sometimes the fox is more advanced. But generally speaking, you are. Now guess what? The fox is the archetype of a trickster. Dominantly, primarily. The fox is a nature's way of telling you, look, this is the archetype of a trickster, this is what it looks like. Can you understand it? Can you appreciate it? Can you acknowledge it? If you can judge, if you can categorize and understand the world and black and white, good and bad, also gray, okay, not being splitting here, no splitting hairs, orange and white, left and right, then you are categorizing. That means you are defining the world. And guess what? The world defines itself. And you are just recognizing for it what it is. You are acknowledging its existence in a way that your parents could never acknowledge you. How can you acknowledge somebody else if you can't even acknowledge who you are? How can you have compassion for the animal if you have no compassion for yourself? If you can't even recognize yourself, if you don't know who you are, how are you going to know who other people are if you can't even figure yourself out? And that's exactly what New Cage tries you to do. To forget who you are, so you forget who is the enemy. Who is the enemy? The government, those who create poisons to deceive you, those create fake news, propaganda to manipulate you. Who is the enemy? If you can't recognize yourself, how are you gonna know? If you should not judge, do not categorize, forget who you are, then forget who they are. Because guess what? How you think about yourself, you're gonna apply it to other people. I believe that I am somebody. Now this somebody still eludes me sometimes. Sometimes I'm not sure. Is the trickster representative of me? Is Mercury, the planet of communication and articulation and intelligence, really my soul signature planet? I believe it is. And I have very good reason to assume so. I have evidence on my side. And what evidence do you have for who you are? Do you know? Did you ever check your archetypes in astrology? Did you research? Did you study the science of self? Do you know what archetype this is? The archetype of both the mother and the lover. To nurture you, to feed you, to protect you, to love you. You know that's what it is. You know it in your heart. Your heart. Which, guess what? In astrology is represented by the sun, which in psychology represents the ego. You recognize your ego? You recognize your role in society? Do you recognize your self-worth? What makes you a good object? Something that is worthy to be loved and appreciated. Do you know why you are worthy of love? What makes you different from me? And it is through those differences that I can love you and you can love yourself. You love me because of this. I love you maybe because of this or something else. Who knows what I love you for? But there's something that you can give me. There's something that you provide that I do not. There's something you have that I don't have. You have a sense of self that I can never reach, and you can never reach mine. But we can bridge the gap. We can understand each other. And how are you going to understand me and what I am about if you can't understand what you are about? You're going to misjudge me. You're going to think I'm arrogant. You're going to think I'm stupid. You're going to think I'm full of myself. Well, guess what? You are right. I am full of myself, of knowing that I am something. And it is shining through me, through the divine God sparks. It is a brilliance that radiates like the sun, which represents the ego in astrology and psychology. And the ego fills you with fire, fills you with warmth, for it is the protector of the true self. The true self is at your core. The sun is where all the other planets, all the other archetypes, they revolve around. So you can center yourself. Through the ego you protect and you represent what you are supposed to achieve. You set goals in your mind. And you achieve them and you succeed. Why do you succeed? Through the gold, the golden sun, the divine sparks that you feel that this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you want to do, what you want to be. It is through your actions and through your experiences that you define and find out who you are, and you are something. And then when you leave this body, maybe you'll be somebody else. Maybe you'll change your form and you explore other forms. But don't tell me that right now you are nothing. You may not know who you are because your parents didn't want you to be somebody that you actually are. Maybe your parents rejected yourself and now you reject yourself. And now you need to find out. You need to get out of your head. To leave the new cage behind. Because it is a new cage. From the parents to the next. Ah shit, this Facebook sound. I have to be somewhere, and so I went somewhere. Yes. Because you feel it inside of you. The fire is calling you to go to a place where you belong. Maybe you didn't belong with your family. Maybe they didn't belong to themselves. And they couldn't have you belonging to something which they are not even are. If your parents suffer from a narcissistic injury and they are not who they actually are, how are they going to recognize and appreciate what you are? So will you spread the disease? Will you share it with others? Or will you please do the work and the research and please define the parameters? Is blue your favorite color? Is red your favorite color? Why? Why do you prefer one color over the next? Is this your favorite color? Black? Like a black hole? A definition of nothingness. And then there is something. There is intelligence. There's the air element. Is this your element? Is this what you are best at? Communicating, scientifically researching, understanding the world through the intellect. Is that you? Or are you more like this? Are you the warrior? Do you assert your will? Do you dominate? Do you go for what you want? Are you driven? Are you fiery and strong? Perhaps you are many of these things. But one thing is gonna be there more than the next. There's gonna be a priority for you. There's gonna be a focus. And through this focus, you set limits on yourself. It's through those limits that you can find containment, that you can root yourself into your body, you can stabilize your mind. Guess what? If you don't want to overthink, if you don't want to be anxious and then worry, you just have to define what is it that you're meant to do. And once you are clear about that, the worry will reduce. And you'll feel more stable. And you'll feel more present, because the new cage won't make you more present. They talk about mindfulness all the time. But how can you be mindful if your mind is empty? If there's nothing full in your mind, you need to put things in here. The shaman says, if your mind is full, you can't put in anything new. But let's look at it from another perspective. If your mind is empty, how are you going to experience fullness? Oh yes, I experience fullness in the emptiness. Do you? Or are you still searching? You're still wondering, how can I fill myself up? Why is this not working? What is it that I'm missing? Maybe you're just missing yourself.